Greetings to you. I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. Welcome to the channel. If you're here for the first time, our approach to marriage is very different. I don't have a background in Western psychology. Before 2001, I was a divorce mediator when a couple asked me to help them save their marriage. And this topic is very appropriate because the best way to save your marriage is to make your marriage amazing. So this topic is how to make your spouse number one. I'm doing this particular video for men. There's another one for women, and it's either already there or coming up. So why is making your spouse number one so important? Let's put it in the context of life in general. In life in general, we have many venues. When we go to the drugstore to buy something and we're interacting with the cashier, that's a venue. When we're working with our boss, our employee, that's another venue. In all of those venues, there's the goal of achieving something for yourself. Sure, you care about the other person, but it's mostly doing business as usual. Marriage is very different. I call it the sacred space of marriage. And what sets it apart is that you have an opportunity to learn how to love unconditionally. So when I started working with marriage from a perspective of saving it, I asked the question, why do we get married in the first place? I'm a businessman, to be honest with you, and so as a businessman, anytime I started a new venture, I always asked, what am I trying to accomplish? And I realized when I asked that question, I never asked that question about getting married. Neither does anyone else. I got married, probably like you, because it was the next thing to do. I wanted to be with the person I love, my soulmate, and all of that. But what am I trying to accomplish here? So I had to break it down. The number one thing that you're trying to accomplish, and I'm not going to get into all the details, and by the way, I hope now you subscribe to the channel and then later like the video. The number one reason for getting married is for happiness. We know that we will be happier with this woman for the rest of our lives. We know she's your soulmate, and that's why you married her. So number one means essentially that connection that you have with your wife is above all other connections that you have with virtually anyone else, even your parents. Now, there's a deep emotional connection with your parents, for sure, your siblings, but your goal is to make your connection with your wife the highest priority. So how do you do that now? Now that we've talked about what number one really means in the context of your life. You do that with the same energies that you put into your relationship when you first met each other. You had that excitement, that thrill of finding your soulmate finally. You fell in love. You started to cultivate that love. The problem is, if you stop cultivating that love, you see, it requires a proactive effort. And if you stop it, then she's no longer number one. Something else has taken her place. Politics, your job, whatever. And that's not what you want to do. You want to keep her number one, so you want to develop some habits that remind you to do so. But of all the habits that you want to develop, you want to make learning to love her unconditionally your highest priority. You see, it's really not complicated. We tend to make things much more complicated than they are. Now, there's a zillion moving parts to marriage, so you have to learn them all. Everything else that we do in life, ironically, we spend tons of time learning the subject, and yet marriage we don't. So it's good that you've come here so you could learn this, because it's very important. So just to go back a little bit, Your highest priority is to cultivate the love that you have for your wife. And that is making her and keeping her number one. And you never stop doing that. Make sense? I'm sure it does. Now you could like the video. So I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. Please utilize us whenever you need us. We're here to help. We have saved and improved thousands and thousands of marriages since we've been doing this almost a quarter of a century. We have about 80,000 subscribers now. Please become one. God bless you. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you next time. Take care.